So, Sweetie ma'am, can we start today?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
So, hello friends there. Today we are going to discuss about designing questionnaire and understanding measurement of scale. Okay, so first I will try to connect what we did in the last session. So yesterday we did how we should be doing review of literature. Then we also discussed about how to extract variables from review of literature, how to analyze the gap between review of literature, and from that variables and from that gap you need to formulate your hypothesis. We also discussed about what kind of hypothesis, types of hypothesis, that is univariate, bivariate, multivariate, and different types of variables, correct? Now, before I go ahead, I just wanted to add one thing. Yesterday I missed out, though I did not discuss it, and it is not required. Most of you must be learned and you all know that how to write review of literature. See, in any review of literature, whenever you write, there are 2-3 ways of doing it. One is in-text referencing. When you are developing a concept, when you are writing an introduction or some kind of concept building, so you mention the work or the research of many other authors while writing the text. That is in-text referencing. But when you are writing a review of literature properly, then in fact in research you never use word you, me, he, she, ever. Why we don't use this word is because, say for an example, there is some name, Khyati. For Indians, we know it's a female name. But we don't know in the international background that this name will not tell you whether they are male or female, one thing. Second very important thing, it is never a person who is talking about the research, it is a data and the evidence that is discussed. So as far as possible, we don't use this word, though there is a group of people who don't believe this and they use word me, he, she, in fact in the very reputed journals also. So for others work, we use word researcher. Researcher had mentioned that the so and so. And for ourselves, when we want to write something, we can use word author. The author intend to, or researcher intend to. We can also there's somebody who's author. So you can use two words, authors and researcher. Another thing in review of literature, always remember, if you're writing for PhD or a proper review of literature, there are 2-3 ways, but the most common way is writing a paragraph. In that you should mention in the initial sentence about the author, if you are following AFA style, author, and then the author's surname, and then in the bracket you write down the year. Then you should start writing what are the objective of that paper that they were intending to study, which methodology they used, and what was the result. If you keep these things in mind, if you know what you are supposed to write, you remember that column I made you to write, that from that objective and method and finding, you should just note down what is there in your own word. You have to just pick it up. So that becomes easy. Okay, let us start today. We are going to discuss today understanding basic principles of framing questionnaire. We are going to discuss not types of data, this is known as measurement scale. And then reliability, validity check only if time permits, and understanding statistics only if time permits. Now let us move. Questionnaire. Why do we need to frame a questionnaire? What we intend to collect through questionnaire? How many questions should we frame? In what form we collect responses? How is data analyzed? How is interpretation made after analysis? So, okay, so now until now, say for example, we were we started our tour, we searched various literature, we came up with variables, we prepared a hypothesis nicely, we know what is independent variable, is dependent variable, what is mediator, and we did excellent work. Now we are thinking of collecting the data, because data will be later analyzed through proper statistical tools, and it will be interpreted. Only then you can come up with the conclusion. So how shall we do this? small example before I go and explain you everything. This is the common mistake, or I won't say mistake, but common procedure that people follow because they are not guided properly. If you are a PhD and you are writing a good paper, then this is not for you. I am being trying to justifying all my participants together, all my friends together. So let us understand that through a smart review of literature, now I understood and I wrote that I want to test whether there is a significant relationship between student-teacher relationship, that is STR, and students' academic performance. Correct. And so first, what I want to test, student-teacher relationship is one variable, STR, and academic performance. So STR is independent variable, students' academic performance is dependent variable, DV. I want to test whether significant relationship between student-teacher relationship and student satisfaction level, whether students are satisfied. See, getting a good marks is another story, and student is satisfied in another story. So these are the three variables that I want to check. So now the question arises, okay, which test should I be using? Should I use correlation, regression? Should I do factor analysis? Should I do chi-square, ANOVA? Whatever test name you must have heard, there will be a lot of questions in your mind. So you thought, okay, I'll do regression because now there's a lot of fancy thing that is going on. Okay, because if you use a smart tools, your paper will be easily published. So you adapted this and you said, okay, then the next, just a second. Huh? Now the question is whether my study is univariate, bivariate, multivariate, whether I should be using factor analysis before going ahead with a statistical tool. Okay, in statistics, if you are not aware, most of you must be aware. If you are not, let me tell you, there are two families: parametric test, non-parametric test. So now which test should I should be using in my study? Keep this thing aside, and now let us work on our two object hypothesis that we have created. So most of us are very good at preparing a questionnaire. The first thing that comes to our mind is a demographic profile. So we note down the question. This is just a demo that I'm trying to do. If otherwise you should be doing this, what will you do? And after attending the entire session, I want you all to spare 5 minutes and quickly prepare something for these questions that we are doing it now. So you said name, age, gender, income, occupation. These are the normal questions that we have. If people go on asking about how many vehicles do you have, where do you stay, with whom you stay, is it a nuclear family, etc. And so many questions. These are the general demographic profile that questions that we ask. Whether you have a good relationship. So now the question was, remember, we want to check a relationship between STR, student-teacher relationship, and students' performance, academic performance. And the second was STR and student satisfaction. So, okay, let us ask whether you have a good relation with your teacher. So, I am studying from a student's perspective. Then I will ask students. We can also have another sample unit for teachers. But we are now concentrating only for students, not to confuse you or more. So whether you have a good relationship with your teacher, will ask students now, because they are very good judger, because we are asking them, we want to know whether they share a good relation. So we asked them. These are the students of 11th and 12th standard. So junior college. So, and then the answers that they will give us is yes, no, and maybe. I'm not very sure whether I will. So now the researcher have become very smart. So they write yes, no, maybe, like that. Do you have a good academic record? So I asked them. Or else, what is the second option? If I want to know the academic record of the students, what is the next option? Quickly, just one or two answers quickly. If I want to test the academic record of a students, I want to know what was their academic performance. Then one way I just showed you that we'll directly ask students. We can also ask them, what are your grades in the last examination? And then you give grade A, B, C, D, E. That is the one option. Any other way? I hope you all have had your tea. I didn't had mine. Marks can be asked. Good, fair, or poor? Yes. What is the other way of asking marks? Marks can be asked. Direct. Yes, Dr. Roy. That's a good answer. Then, ma'am, what we can do is we can directly ask marks. You can just say, okay, in the last examination, marks dash. You give your aggregate marks and we can judge. So there is another way of doing it. Do you like your teacher? Now, because we want to know the satisfaction level, are you satisfied with your teacher or are you happy with your teacher? Yes, no, maybe. Which method? Maybe you have thought more and you thought, let us also take the methods. And you said that which method did your teacher adapts in the class, and you give them option X, Y, and Z. Now let us see this. I'll show you the Excel sheet that will be okay. I hope my Excel sheet is visible to you all. So this is what my Excel sheet will look like. Names are there, age is there, gender, income, and if there are more demographic questions, we can add this. I just made this immediately, and then we will also ask them the standard that they are in relation with the teacher. Then they said yes, no, yes, yes, yes. Okay, then we will convert this into numeric 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. That is how we code them, code the answers, right? Now, what analysis we can do here? So this is 1, this is 1, this is 1, this is 2, this is 2, this is 1, this is 1, this is 2. Again here, this is 1, 1. All this is 1, this is 2, and this is 1. Can you tell me which kind of test we can use here? I want to know whether whether there is a good relationship with the academic performance. What analysis we can do? And here it is all danger because this is 1, this is 2, this is I am coding. This is known as coding the answers, which we do it after collecting the data. 1, 2, 3. I forgot to do it coding wise. I just wanted to show you all exactly what happens when you don't consciously prepare your questionnaire and what goes wrong. Because it is said that garbage in, garbage out. If you bring good things will come up. If you bring wrong things will come up. Just imagine a researcher collects 500, 600 data after a lot of pain, and now the data is in front of them, and this is the Excel sheet that they have. Which method they will apply? ANOVA, correlation. Okay. Now what will happen is correlation. Okay, I won't discuss more because I'm going to discuss in detail and I'm going to practically do it. Say for example, relation with teacher, whether you have a good relation with the teacher, and academic performance. And if we apply correlation, for that we need to have a mean of both. Now what is a mean here? Can you have a mean of this? This 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2 is a mean. Is it a mean? How can you create a mean of this? So you are diluting the answer of yes and no. You can say, okay, maximum students were like out of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Is it 6? Okay, there are only 9 of them. So 5 are saying yes and 4 are saying no. So maximum of saying yes. This kind of things are known as descriptive analysis and not inferential analysis. This data will not work for any good test. This data will not work for any good. You cannot apply correlation. Also, you can maximum do a chi-square test in such kind of data or tabulations. So can you just imagine what goes wrong if you collect data in a wrong way? So now let us see what is the right way of collecting your data. After completing this session, I'm sure that I'm confident that you will enjoy doing your questions next time because now you know all the tricks. Okay. Before coming to a test questionnaire, let me tell you something about test, because after preparing a proper questionnaire, you have to collect data, and that data has to grow through some statistical analysis, through some test. Only then you can have a proper conclusion or a good results which can be reported and that can be published in a good journal. Now, if you use, there are 2 families of the test that we have in statistics: parametric family and non-parametric. If you want to have a good results, more accurate, more relevant, more acceptable, and that is accepted in a good journal, then you should have a parametric test. And but there are certain conditions if you want to use parametric. Not when you do not serve a purpose, when you do not serve assumptions of parametric, you can shift it to non-parametric test. Parametric test has certain assumptions like the data that you collect should be of a metric nature. The data should be normally distributed. There should be data from multiple groups have a same variance. There should be homogeneity. There should be a linear relationship. Independent data should be independent, and there should not be multi-chronality or homoscedasticity nahi hona chahiye data mein. There should not be homoscedasticity, which I have not mentioned here. So these are the conditions. If you fulfill this condition, so after collecting 1000 data, you have to take a few tests of normality and other assumption and see if all your assumptions are agreed, then you can go for correlation. Your first question itself that you will go for correlation will not serve because that is a parametric test. Now what should be the way? So let us come back. What should be the way of preparing a questionnaire? I'll go very slowly, step by step. First thing, we did ROL, we did variables, we did gap analysis, and our hypothesis is ready. We know which variables, which relationship are we testing. Now, first thing will be framing questions, framing form of responses that you want to collect. You should, just a second. I think I have missed that slide that I have prepared for you all. Anyways, chalo, I will. मैंने एक बनाया तो था. Yeah. So ROL, then variables, then gap analysis, hypothesis formulation, and identifying the factors which you want to know, which you want to collect. Clear till here? Now we'll go here. So now framing the questions, from whom you will collect the data. After collection of data, you should also go compulsory. It's necessary. You should go for pilot study. 50 sample size is sufficient for the pilot study. Reliability and validity check is also necessary. I will discuss this part. I will touch this part at the end of the session. Then you actually collect your data. After you buy vegetables from the market, what you do? You sort them out. You put it in a proper wrapping and put it and store it. That is how you do editing. Once you have data, there may be many wrong data that have entered, missing variables or missing data. You need to work on that. Analysis of the data through appropriate test. Remember, there is two types of analysis. One is descriptive analysis, when you just simply tabulate. Is descriptive analysis, where you just say number of people belonging to different age category, how many are male, female, and others, which income group has this. So those are those only frequencies. So this contains a table which has numbers, percentage, and if it is a scale based question, then you have a mean. That's it. Or percentage. That's it. This is what you have. That is known as descriptive analysis. Description only tells the nature of your data, the respondents. It doesn't tell you anything about conclusion. Once you come to the descriptive analysis, then you start with your inferential analysis, which is testing your hypothesis. Okay. So questionnaire basically have two components. One is a question, another is response. So it is very good that we have to just concentrate on only two components. If we do these two components properly, our questionnaire is a very smart scale, and here we can collect a very good data, and from that data we can come up with a very authentic and relevant results, which can be easily published in a good journal. Okay, so first part we are going to discuss about questions. Second half we are going to discuss about measurement scale, that is the responses or data. Okay, classification of questions. What are these questions based on? These are not types of questions. These are the classification. One is structured, unstructured. All of us know what is the difference between the both close-ended questions and open-ended questions. I will just take a minute to discuss that. There was a question, in the last seminar that some teachers have asked that, why don't we use open-ended questions? The answer is, see the requirement. If you require to ask an open-ended question, you need to go for it. If you don't have existing review of literature, if you don't know what could be the probable responses, you're not very much aware about your respondents, then you need to keep it open-ended. And after keeping it open-ended, there are ways of converting into a coding system, and then you can analyze them, because open-ended questions are very difficult to analyze. Close-ended, we know how to code them. So when there is a need, when there is a requirement that you don't have your answers, you're not very sure what could be the problem. See, for an example, I was writing one paper on cosmetic buying behavior, and we wanted to know that which brand does the women purchase. Now there are so many brands. If I give them so many options, then that was a problem. So I kept it open-ended. Now I have enough responses. What I can do is 10 most preferred brand, which I can pick up from open-ended and apply the coding, and then I can get the data. So it is depends on kind of requirement that you have. Okay, next kind is demographic. Next kind of question is conceptual questions, technical questions, and suggestive questions. Suggestive question is like comment or suggest something, which are used by the company. Structured questionnaire, I already told you, structured and unstructured. Structured has an options. Unstructured doesn't have an option. It's an open-ended. You give it a full space for a respondents to reply. In fact, during writing a COVID paper, something on COVID, and you're not very sure what could be the answers, so then you can use open-ended. And after collecting open-ended, you have multiple answers. See what is been repeated the most. Then you have to apply it in Excel and put it in them and see which concept was repeated the most time. First 10, first 5 pick up and see whether the respondent have given that answer yes, no, yes, no. Then you can do your analysis. Now, fundamental principles of designing a questionnaire. So before you start, what you should be looking into, no all-purpose rule. So there is no thumb rule that yes, your paper should be like this, your questionnaire should be like this. One more thing before I start. There is another question that I repeatedly get from my respondents, my participants, that whether should we take up a ready questionnaire. My topic, many must have done a study. So in fact, in our area also, STR, student-teacher relationship, and the satisfaction and academic score. So you should go for standardized questionnaire which already is been done by somebody else. Is always safe, and it is not plagiarism. It is absolutely not a plagiarism. You have to take up that questionnaire. You have to make some changes if you want, according to your response size or your nature of respondents or your nature of your study, and then you can use. But for that, if you are using for PhD, especially, or a very good journal, you should go for CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. There is one as CFA. If you are using somebody else questionnaire, in fact, you should always do CFA before collecting your data. Then I will come to that point and how to do that CFA. So this question always arises: why should we should be not taking, or it's like copying, or it's like a plagiarism? No, it's not like plagiarism. It is recognizing some work. Yes, you should always give a reference in your list and mention from where you have collected that questionnaire. So there are known as scales. Questionnaire, after, see, once you conducted a study, you adapted one questionnaire, you collected the data, you did reliability check, validity check, the results are done, you published your paper, that questionnaire becomes scales for other to measure the same kind of study. Okay, so no all-purpose rule. There are certain basic principles. Standardized questionnaire should come from review of literature, that what I just mentioned. Self-structured questionnaire can be used. If you prepare your own, it is a structured questionnaire. You should be doing reliability and validity check. Process of doing your questionnaire. First stage, you understand which variables you want to study. Before that, we also keep a demographic questions. Don't just go on asking all demographic questions to your respondents. Understand what kind of study are you doing, what nature of responses respondents you have, and accordingly list down the demographic profile and see whether that is useful for your study or not. Okay, so understand what kind of information you require, determine the content of individual questions, decide the question structure, that how my questionnaire will in the flow it will be, how many sections it will have. Determine the questions wording. Please use as simple as language as simple as possible. Don't use fancy language. In fact, sometimes when you are doing a study in the rural areas, I made a mistake. I admit in this platform that I made a mistake. I was working on the very big topic of infrastructure development in Mumbai by MMRDA, and I was in a very initial stage of my research, first step. So I prepared a questionnaire, a very smart questionnaire, and I have to collect data from all taxi drivers in English. So now I hope you all got the point. What must have happened at that time? That I got, it was a big fiasco, because how will they read questionnaire and why will they read my questionnaire? First of all, it was not a relational language and they get scared looking at the paper. So then we have a different way of doing it. So choose your words properly, don't make it too fancy depending on your respondents. Arrange the questions in a proper order. It should go as a story. At the end of the respondent should know that what were you trying to study. So that much coordination is required amongst the questions. Identify the form and layout that you are going to use it. Initially, people used to do a lot of hard copy questionnaires, and now people are doing online. But let me tell you, there are lot of many demerits of online questionnaire. People don't read it properly. It is there in the mobile. The rest of the options are not visible. They just go on tick and they submit it. So what will happen? You will not know whether the respondent have actually filled it with proper interest or no. When you go with the physical feedback questionnaire form, you sit with them, you look at them, and you can understand whether that response or that questionnaire was worth adding into your data or not. So this is a one way. Reproduce the questionnaire, look at the questions. If you feel something has to be included, excluded, you should go for it. And at the end, you should conduct pilot study. After collecting 1000 data, if you get to know your questionnaire was wrong, it is going to be a big headache for you to collect another data. Okay, guidelines of writing questions. Keep the vocabulary simple, keep the question short, avoid double-barreled question. What is that? I will discuss in the next slide. Avoid hypothetical. Never see, question is a psychological process, because you're getting the information from the respondents. Your respondent should not get confused. It should not be stressful. They will not put so much of, why will they take an effort for your research? Let us make it simple. Why will they will break your head? And nowadays the tolerance level of the people have really come down. Nobody has so much patience. Our mobile phone have actually spoiled us. Our technology has spoiled us. We don't have that much of patience with us. So avoid hypothetical question. Don't overtax. Don't write too much. Avoid double negatives. There I will show how we should avoid negatives. Avoid overlapping response categories. Be aware of our leading questions. Always keep a good leading questions. Individual question content. Is this question necessary? You need to know. If it is necessary, only it should go in our questionnaire. If it is not necessary, any data I'm collecting, let me collect 2-3 more. Don't do that, because you're going to spoil the mood of the respondent. You keep it as short as possible. Correct. Because it is very difficult to keep your questionnaire short. Are several questions needed instead of one? Do you think Fair and Lovely cream is effective and authentic cream? So you are asking two things in the same question. Is it effective and is it authentic? There are two different things, but you are asking in the same question. Now the respondent is confused. It is effective, but it is not authentic. Or it can be otherwise. It's not effective, but it is authentic. Herbal products are very authentic, but they are not so effective. Quite possible. So then you are confusing the respondents for answering your question. Avoid, keep it to different questions. Is the respondent informed? See, in the first, if you're doing your PhD, this thing, your guide will definitely help you. In the introduction part, you should be mentioning about your topic. What are you trying to understand? You should be very smart enough not to put everything there, but try and give them some information that what are you trying to study. Can the respondent remember? How many times did you brought product online during the last 4 weeks? So now 4 weeks. So you have to again think 1, 2, I ordered electronic products, then I ordered clothes, then I ordered some grocery. So this is a stressful situation. How often do you shop online? Regularly, often, occasionally, sometimes. Now this will go easy for them. Oh, I am a very occasional buyer. Oh, I'm a regular buyer. So they will just take one, somebody will take three. It's very easy. Can respondent articulate? Respondent may be unable to articulate certain types of responses. Describe the atmosphere of a departmental store. So now how many degree, what kind of questions? Respondent should be given aids such as pictures, maps, description, sometimes to make it more easier. So always try to give a good responses so that easily they will understand what they want to answer. Overcoming willingness to answer. Just a second, I'll just check my okay, it is 4:30. I have another 1 hour. Okay. Efforts required of the respondents. Most respondents are unwilling to devote a lot of efforts. Why will they do it for you? So you have to be very careful when you collect data. Recently, one of my colleague have collected research data for her PhD work. She had collected 500 data, and it was very unbelievable. Almost 80 to 90 data were not correctly filled. People have just given one to everything. There was no coordination among the respondents. The normality test went down so bad. After removing 100 or some more data, then we achieved that normality, but the sample size went less. So even you should be smart enough to collect data from proper respondents. Don't just randomly pass on the questionnaire. And if you're doing that, then always remember a thumb rule. I'll share this secret with you. See, if you are working on some topic and you feel that it's very difficult to go into each and every respondent, and it takes time, collect more number of data. At least go for 1,000. Then what will happen? There is an effect of more. So those you will fit into that normality test. Okay, there are some logics behind it. There is some proper technical reasons behind it. Increasing the willingness. Preface a question with a statement that behavior of the interest is common. Ask the question using third person technique phrase the question as if it referred to the other people, depending on the objective of the study. It depends. Now, say for example, you want to ask some general things about economy or company or marketing strategy, then you can be as a third party. But in the study that we did now, student teacher relationship, you have to be very specific about asking their behavior, their personal behavior, and their experience, their opinion. Correct. Okay. Determine the order of questions. Can we share questionnaire on the social media for response? Yes, you can. That's what I'm saying. But then you have to sit with your data. Just don't think that okay, I got 100 or 1,000 data and 200 data, and I'm going to directly go ahead with the test. Don't do that. You should spend time with your data. Look at the questions and answers that they have given. That will be your Excel sheet that you will have. Then apply normality test. Explore whether there is in SPSS there is a way of doing it. Then in the histogram in scatter plot, PP plot, they will tell you which respondent is not matching with other respondents. That is outliers. Catch them. See what mistakes they have done. So there are ways of doing it, and remove them. If possible, remove them. If not possible, transform them. There is a bootstrap, there is a concept of removing those outliers that is giving a wrong impact on your results. So there is a way of doing it. Do it on the social media, don't mind, because if your respondents, you will meet them there. If your respondents are sabji wala, how will you put it online? This is not possible. So you should apply your brains. It's all about individual cases are different. Determine the order of your question, opening questions, type of information that you want to collect, and difficult questions. Or not difficult, I will say something where they are not very sure whether they want to answer it or not. Okay, so basically you should be having this kind of setup: demographic questions, conceptual questions, and behavioral questions. Example, in consumer buying behavior for electronics, demographic profile, name, age, gender, occupation, and so on. Conceptual, which kind of brand are you using more? And are you a frequent buyer? From where do you like to buy, etc. Behavior will be factors influencing you to buy this electronic products through online or something like that. So this way you have a sections. Physical structure of the questionnaire is very important when you prepare that layout. Rate the service quality of Swiggy. So food, very good, good, neutral, bad, very bad. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Delivery 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Instead of this, do you think this structure will be better? Got the point? This is just a simple example of layout. I'm just showing you that if you have a proper layout, it is well established. In fact, there is one more. In fact, you won't believe there are people who write papers on how to frame questionnaire, which is the right way of doing it. So they do a lot of experimental study. There is one more thing that I feel one can do is you can what you can do is there is a way of doing a scale system says rate it from 5 to 1. So here we'll say give your experience, rate the service quality of a Swiggy from 5 being very good, 1 being very bad, and rate it. So now it is their opinion whether they want to do 3, 2, 1. They will not get into that neutral, good, bad. No. First point, this is a scale system. Okay, so this is a layout that I'm showing you that one can do. Okay, there is somebody who's asking me how many questions. I do not. How did I? Okay. There is a question that how many questions should be there. So there is no such answer that will tell you. What do you think? What will be the tolerance level of the respondent? You as a respondent, how many questions you would like to answer? So it's a very tricky question that you are asking me, but nobody can give you this answer. That how many questions should be there in the question? At least it should not be like 50, 60, 100 questions should not be there. Nobody has that time. You should be smart enough to frame a question in such a way. You may have 35 factors too, because when you apply exploratory factor analysis, you need more than 30 statements. Then put it as small words. So that words is very indicative for them to answer. So that goes quick. Correct? So even that is a smart way of doing it. These are the checklists. I will send this with a Sweetie ma'am to you all so that you all know some basic rules and you can take care of this. Is this item unbiased? Well, the item generate data at the level of measurement required for the analysis, etc. So this is just a checklist. So this until here we discussed only about questions. Which kind of question you should be having in your paper. So I already told you 3 types of questions you should be having in your paper. Demographic questions. Which type of demographic? One more example. If I'm asking the same question about student-teacher relationship to a teacher, what kind of demographic profile I should be having? I'll ask them their age, gender. Why will I ask them their income? Do I require their income in my study? Do I require their name in my study? No. I can ask them which school or college you are teaching. Correct? Then we can ask them years of experience. Are you approved or you're on a contract based? So that way we can ask them some demographic nature of that particular respondent. So you should know what kind of questions you are asking. Demographic doesn't mean everything you will ask everyone. You should apply your brains. The demographic, then always remember your hypothesis, which variables are you studying. Questions related to that variables are important. Okay, so now let us come to responses. Until now, questions part is over. Now we are talking about responses. So responses, another word we use is in a general term, we use types of data. We are not talking about primary data, secondary data. We are talking that when we ask questions, the responses comes in, that becomes data for us. So which type of data is this? So if it is a close-ended question, what are the different options that you have when you opt for a close-ended question? You have dichotomous, two answers, yes, no, kind of. Multiple choice, you have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? You give a fixed answers to them. Another is scale, which I showed you, 5 being the most, 1 the best, worst. Rate them, you have a rating system. Ranking method, so there may be 4 methods that teacher is teaching, so you ask them, rank them in the order from 1 to 4, which method is best, first, second, 3, 4, वैसे. Then matrix is that I will show you how to do that matrix part. Multiple ticks are allowed. That has happened in our study, that sometimes you want to ask whether you use herbal products, right? So you say Patanjali, and one more, say Hina products. So there are 3 of them. I may use all 3. Or so what will you do now? So you have to allow them multiple ticks. You can do that multiple ticks. At the end, if time permits, I'll show you how to do the analysis if you have a multiple ticks with you. Because statistic doesn't understand comma, 1, comma, 2, comma. They just know 1. It's a thumb rule. In analysis, remember a thumb rule. In Excel sheet, in the one box, you should have only one number, 1 digit. You cannot have 1, 2, 3. It can be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, anything. But it has to be only 1 unit. Only then they can run a test. Dichotomous test is, I just showed you yes, no, both, not, no, none, maybe, kind of things can be done. Multiple choice, I showed you how to do that multiple choice. Highly satisfied to not satisfied. Now let us come to this. See, all understand one thing. There is something known as measurement scale in the way we collect our data. In the parametric test, if you remember which test I will apply after collecting the data, you were thinking. And then your statistician told you, I could have applied parametric test if you have your data, metric data. What is this metric data? So now let us understand, our questionnaire will have all type of data. If you have a metric data, you can go for parametric test. So there are 2 classification of data, qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data are known as nominal and ordinal. Quantitative is internal and ratio data, interval and ratio data. Okay. When you describe some categories, you have some frequencies, you have some count. It is known as qualitative data. And when you have analysis, you should remember only 4. At the end of this session, I have some questions with me. You should be able to answer. I think all my participants will be able to answer. Nominal data, they are just name. They don't have any meaningful ranking or numbering or order. There is no order at all. They are just name. You are a male or you are a female. Is it good or bad? Who is higher? Who is lower? Nothing like that. They are male, they are female. That's it. Okay, which age do you belong to? There is an age category 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 40. So what inferences you can draw? Nothing. These are the age. But you can also have in a age, okay, who is more elder and who is more younger. That much you can do. But what in yes and no? I like, do you like to, did you like movie KGF? Yes, no. So yes, there are 10 people who said yes, there are 10 people who said no. So what more you can compare about them? Nothing. Just yes and no have no meaning. Hence, it is known as nominal data, just a name data. Ordinal data, which has a certain order. So age, income, they have some order. You can say a person belonging to the income group of 25,000 to 75,000 is poor than somebody who is earning 75,000 to 1 lakh. We can sort out that who is earning more, who is financially strong. So little more analysis we can do in ordinal data. Here there is no analysis, male, female, or you can say approved teacher and non-approved teacher. Or you can say, if you are doing education qualification, I mean, you can, are you CA, CS, or doctor? So more, what kind of analysis? Okay, somebody is CS, somebody's have completed their net, and somebody is CS, and somebody is lawyer, somebody is architect. That's just a profession. It is just a name. You have a different categories that they belong to. Categorical data, nominal data. Ordinal have some sensible order. Okay, quantitative data has a discrete data and continuous data. I will discuss it in my own word, that is interval and ratio. This was very confusing to me. Always I had this question. I used to break my head that Kelvin scale was created and this is an interval data and there is actually no zero. And I used to wonder why there is no zero. I don't know. I'm not that very good statistician. But I made my life simple, understanding statistics in through my own human behavior. So if I have to understand this, how did I understood was, temperature, there is nothing like no temperature in the room. As of now, I am sitting in a room where the temperature is 24. So what is this 24? Can you judge temperature, or then can you quantify or measure a temperature? No, we couldn't. So Kelvin have come up with a scale saying that let us do zero. When there is temperature missing and there is no heat in the temperature, it is zero. When there is little more heat, 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. So 24 as of now is the kind of heat that is present in that temperature. So when you go to -1, -2, -3, so do you think that now there is no temperature? There is a temperature, but there is no heat at all. This is a cold climate, it's a cold temperature. So this scale was given by him, and the rule was the difference between the 0 to -1 will be equal to 0 to 1. 0 to 1 is equidistant to 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. They should be equally distributed. They're equal distance. Hence, we say interval. Now, what happens is, I'll just show you one thing. People always get confused between ordinal and interval data. Ordinal data say age. So I said, you tell me whether you belong to 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 60. So do you think that this is interval data? Just because it is an interval, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50? No, it is not the case. These are the ordinal. This has an order, because some respondent will say yes here, some respondent will say yes here. Now this person is the age of 32, this person is the age of 28. Do they have equidistance now? Are they on the equidistance now? No, they are not in the equidistance. So they are not an interval data. Now let us see what is interval data. Under interval data, we are asking, say, okay, satisfaction level. You said highly satisfied, then you said satisfied, then you said neutral, not satisfied, and highly or dissatisfied, you will say. Dissatisfied, and now you are saying highly dissatisfied. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this you are giving as 1, this you are giving as 2, this you are doing as 3, here you are saying 4, and you are saying 5. Now somebody said yes here, somebody said yes here. Now it is very clear. Somebody when said highly satisfied is 1. Somebody who said I'm not satisfied, I'm neutral or highly dissatisfied here is 5. So there is a distance that can be elaborated. They have a proper distance from 0. For here, again, there is another way of also asking. There was a teacher who was asking me, ma'am, ye -2 nahi kar sakte hain, because somewhere they must have seen that they have asked this way, 0. So sorry, this is 2, this is 1, this is -1, and this is -2. Absolutely no difference, because I have given numbers to, I have assigned some measurement to the satisfaction level, because satisfaction level is the person's behavior. Behavior cannot be quantified otherwise. We have to make it quantified through some scales. Hence, we are giving this scale, and we say interval is because they have an equidistance from each other. 2 and 1, there is a distance which is equal to 1 to 0. I hope now the concept is clear. We'll go back to our PPT. Okay. So this is the one way of remembering. Next is ratio. Now, what is this ratio data? Any data that is zero, that has a zero, means what? That can have a zero, that is absolute zero. So now this was again confusing to me. Matlab kya? So now take an example of price of any product, price of mobile phone, 15,000, 18,000, 20,000. These are the absolute. So when I say price, okay, I'll ask you that. I'm asking students, have you ever got 80 KT in your subject? So 0, when they say 0 KT, it is absolutely a 0 KT. When I said, are you satisfied with your teacher? And they said 0. 0 means neutral. Hence, that 0 with neutral was an interval data. So when something can be described, something as in proper quantification can be done, then we can say it is a ratio data. Like share market prices, any price, any quantity, any numbers, any units, any age. Age is a ratio. Now see again, in the earlier example where we had this, let me erase this part. You said, ma'am, this is ordinal data as an age. It is ordinal. Why this is not a ratio data? Because age has a 0. When somebody said 0, it means that person is not of 1 year. Somebody said that I am 4 years age, so 4 years is absolute number. Then in that case, we say, when you ask an open-ended question to your respondent, give me your age, and somebody describes this in the year, 20, 22 age, 33 age, 34 age, you can measure equidistance between these responses, because we know the actual age. Here we don't know whether they are 28, whether they are 32. We don't know. Respondent have given us responses and left us. Now I have to keep guessing what was the equidistance. Hence, that data is ordinal because the response is diluted. I am to certain extent, say I belong to 21 to 30. So you would know only this much. But when I say, no, I am 22, you know exact number. That is ratio data. There cannot be a pure data than this. This is a purest form of data. So now let us understand this. There is an order of depending on the quality of data that you have. One is nominal, can't do more, nothing about it, no more analysis can be done. There is no order that you can give. You can just put them into a category. There is nothing like good, bad, more, less, nothing like that. Ordinal, let me check the timing. Okay, 5, half an hour more. Ordinal has a certain order. You can say, okay, somebody is more elder to someone, somebody has more car than someone, somebody is more experienced than someone. That's more maximum. You can put somebody in order. Can you say that somebody is better than this, or there is a relation between them? Nothing can be done. Then we have interval, which is equidistance from each other. Like we can say somebody is highly satisfied and somebody is not satisfied. We know what is the difference between their satisfaction level. Correct? Ratio, exact distance is known. So you have a more pure, once you move from nominal to ordinal. So now the question arises, ma'am, we should ask all questions in ratio data. Not possible. How will you ask? Gender into ratio data? Gender is not. So remember, in a questionnaire, you need all type of data. You need quality, you need quantity. You need nominal data also, you need ordinals also, you need interval and ratio. I hope I am clear until here, and the respondents were able to understand me and my concept until here. Any questions till now? Okay, what we can do is, I will explain each data, each type of measurement scale with some example and see whether you are able to answer this or not. Are you satisfied with the workshop organized by Patrician College of Arts and Science? One answer could be yes or no. So can you quickly tell me which kind of data is this, yes or no? Nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio? Quickly. Wow, amazing. So we all know it's a nominal data. Nothing can be done. Somebody said, yes, I like. Somebody said, no, I didn't like. That's it. We couldn't draw any inferences from this. What if I put it this way? Highly satisfied to satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, and highly dissatisfied. And then I'm asking about resource person, content, online platform, all this together. Now, which kind of data is this? When the second question, when I'm asking your experience or satisfaction level in this scale form, which kind of data is this? Interval or scale data? Interval data, or we can say scale data. Okay. I want all to tell me this answers. One, where do you stay? Central, Western, or Harbor? Which kind of data is this? So what I'll do is one, in your response, you say one is this, two is this, three is this, that's it. So first, where do you stay is which type of data? One is nominal, very good. Two is? When I am directly asking them their age, open-ended question. If I get the response in the pure form, which kind of data is this? Age. No, my dear, it's not an ordinal data. I have not given them their categories. It is open-ended age. I will get exact numbers. Hence, it's a ratio data. Income per month, open-ended. Third question, third. Ratio data, very good. Ratio data, very good. Because I have an exact number with me. Weight in kg, fourth question, fourth. Please write which number of the response answers you are giving me. Four is, so write 4 ordinal. That way you give, please. Don't just write ordinal ratio because I am getting confused. You just give me 4 is this. I can judge. I just want to know whether you are able to understand. 5, occupation. 5, fifth wala is which? Student, teacher, businessman, professional. Which kind of data? Perfect. Very good. Very good, Ranjit. And there are many. No, Ranjit, you're wrong. Fifth one cannot be ordinal. Student, teacher, businessman, and professional. How will you put them into a logical order? They are purely a nominal data. It is just a category. Nobody is superior or junior to anyone here. Education. Which kind of data is this? UG, PG, PhD, and delete. Sixth is nominal as well as ordinal. It is nominal. See, nominal, ordinal data is always nominal and ordinal. Interval is always nominal, ordinal, and interval. It is like that. So when you say in education, you can say undergraduate is less knowledgeable than postgraduate, at least qualification wise. PG is less qualified than PhD. PhD is less qualified than DLIT. So we have a logical sequence. Hence, I put this tricky question here. It is nominal, but we can draw one inferences here. Seventh is lockdown is effective on, strongly agree, is a scale data, how many times? Okay, okay. Now let us see this. This was the answer. Now, before I go ahead, I want to tell you something very important here. Pay attention to this tricky thing. Now, there is one very important concept of parametric test can be applied only on metric data. Correct? Here, we have You have understood 4 data: nominal, ordinal, scale, and ratio. Nominal data and ordinal data are known as non-metric data. Clear? Nominal and ordinal are known as non-metric. Interval and ratio are known as metric data. Only remember this part. So interval is a metric data, ordinal is a non-metric data. But there is something more that you should understand beyond this. Parametric test can be applied only on the metric data. So metric data means what? Metric data means your data should be either interval or ratio. Now, if you are asking, if you're talking about some satisfaction level, you don't have ratio data. That is your limitation, because ratio has an absolute zero. You don't have absolute zero. So you said you will ask questions in the scale form. So you ask somebody, are you satisfied with the workshop? With workshop, please ignore my spelling because I'm typing it too fast. With workshop. So then you said highly satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, and highly dissatisfied. This is one thing. Okay. There is something that I want to tell you all. Because you're most of the time, somebody, the half knowledge is always dangerous. Forget it. I'm writing it again. Now, satisfaction level for workshop. 1, resource person, coordination, content, schedule. Now, and then I'm asking you, tell me whether you are satisfied with this workshop conducted by this college. And I said, now you rate them into highly satisfied, then you say satisfied, then you say neutral, then you say dissatisfied, and highly dissatisfied. Now pay attention to this. When I said that this is a scale data, when you want to conduct a research, it is not a scale data. It becomes ordinal data because it is not a reflective scale. Likert scale has a property. You can use Likert scale as a metric data only when it is an interval data. For an interval data, it has to be a reflective scale. Now here you can draw only one inference, is that are you satisfied with the workshop? Now workshop has various parameters. It has various factors. It is about resource person, coordination, content, schedule, certification, the process of payment, and there are more attributes. If you say, do you like a teacher? Teacher speaks nicely, teacher has a good knowledge, teacher takes me, asks many questions, her teaching methods are good, the way she teaches is good. Now you cannot judge someone with one parameter because we are in a human science. So when you do this kind of question, though we name it a scale, it will not serve your purpose. It will become ordinal data because it doesn't have a reflective scale. It is a formative scale. So here only one attribute is that satisfaction. So people will just sign up. But if you have this kind of questions like satisfaction level of a workshop, and you have 4 parameters, and people say, yeah, highly satisfied, this is satisfied, content and schedules was very good. Now you have a reflective scale that is known as interval data. Now you are ready to use this kind of data because some factors are reflecting the satisfaction level. What if somebody is doing this? Somebody says, no, I feel that, yeah, resource person was good, coordination was, or I will put it otherwise. Resource person was, I am not satisfied. Coordination was very satisfied. Content was good. Schedule not satisfied. You have a very vague answer. Now, how will you conclude in that? Are you satisfied with the workshop or not? Hence, in parametric test, we need metric data, and metric data considers Likert scale only in a reflective sense. If you do not have a reflection like this or factors like this, then it directly becomes, though you have asked question in a scale form, it becomes ordinal data. So mean, median, and mode, metric data, non-metric data, counts, percentage, mode, and medians are used. We'll ignore this part. Metric data is ratio and interval. If you want to use parametric test, if you want your paper to be published in a very good journal, then you should go for parametric test, for which you sure your data should have be metric data, ratio and interval. And if you have a nominal and ordinal, it is known as non-parametric, which doesn't mean that it will not be published, but there are many assumptions that you have to then think about. I hope until here things are clear. Okay, let us go to our, so I want you all to now tell me one by one. Age is the nominal, age is ordinal data. Here it is a ratio form, but of no use to us. Gender, nominal data. This is ordinal. Tell me which type of data was this? Relation with teacher. Do you have a good relation with the teacher? You said yes or no. Student, for yes 1, no is 2. Which kind of data is this? It is a nominal data. It is a nominal data. Very good. So now I hope the things are very clear with you all, that now when there is a nominal data, now look at the essence of the statistics that we have. I'll just show you here. Can you have a mean of this? You cannot have a mean of this. And the whole idea of using parametric test is mean. The story is all about mean. It's all about a very good average. When there are 1,000 people saying something about some component, I cannot report 1,000 responses. So I need one number which gives the behavior or the response of all 1,000. And so I want to come up with one number, and that is average. Central tendency. Mean is the purest form of describing any average. Only metric data gives us mean. Only metric data can give us mean. Ordinal data cannot give us the mean. Now tell me, if I am asking you your income, can you have mean in your income, or you can only have percentage in your income? Correct. Parametric test always works on mean. Now there is another story that, okay, I'm not getting into more of parametric and non-parametric because it's a completely different story, and there is a lot of things that one can understand, and some basic things. Again, I'm not a statistician at all, but because I got to know some basic principles, I think my things goes right. So if you want to have a parametric test, you should have metric. For metric, you should have either a interval data. In a social science, we mostly have interval data. We don't have ratio data. And for internal data, interval, you should have a reflective scale. Yes, because if you have this kind of data, wait, if you have this kind of data, you can only say how many people belongs to 25 to 50, how many people belong to this kind of exact example. Say, for an example, I had asked people, what kind of relationship do you share with your teacher? Very good, say very bad, and then 5 to 1. And somebody said 5, somebody said 4, somebody said 5, somebody said 3, and somebody said 4, somebody said 5, somebody said 3. Somebody said 2 and somebody said 5. Now this was a scale, but in a truth and it is an interval data, ordinal data. But this is in the scale form. Can I not get a mean? Let us check the mean. Mean is 3.88. So apart from numbers, how many said that they have a very good relation with their teacher? Numbers, percentage. And I can also have mean. And I can say overall out of 9 people, 3.8, they have a very reasonable good relation with their teacher. So now I hope you got the essence of that. In a nominal data, you can do only numbers and percentage. In ordinal data, if you have in the such kind of scale form ordinal data, then you can only have a mean. But if you say, do you regularly go to your teacher to talk to her? Is she approachable? Is she accessible? Do you have a friendly relation with her? You have 5 components which is describing a relationship with your teacher. You are asking these questions in the scale form, and then you are merging them and putting it in average. That is an interval data. Now your data is ready to use into a parametric test as a metric data. Now let us go to. Okay, I had have some questions. Okay, no questions then. After creating a questionnaire, now you have certain demographic questions, you have some concept-based questions and behavioral questions. How will you know whether your questionnaire is ready to be collecting this data? Is it scale proper to collect the data? You need to check whether it is validity and its reliability. Its ability of an instrument to measure what is intent to measure. When I was intending to measure student and teachers relationship, whether my questionnaire is checking what I'm exactly trying to check. Degree to which the researcher has measured what he has to set out of measures. Are we measuring what we think we are measuring? Extent to which an empirical measures. Now what happens is, I asked you whether say we're talking about validity, student teacher relationship. So one way is directly asking them that how was your relationship. Will say, is your teacher accessible? Is she friendly? Do you share all what you want? Do you ask questions in the class? Are you comfortable while talking or approachable, or we can say you identify through review of literature certain parameters which describes a relationship. Now I want to know the relationship, and I am asking them another questions like, how many times are you visiting your teacher? Or we can say, which teacher you are comfortable talking with. Now this is not checking what I'm exactly trying to ask. Validity will fail here. So that is known as validity. Just a second. Huh? What is reliability? How far your instrument is known as questionnaire, is reliable to collect the data. Correct. If at all I ask these questions to my respondents, and after some time asking some other questions to the same respondent, will the answers have a same? I will have the same answers or not? Is the ability of an instrument to create a reproducible results. I create an instrument for 11th and 12th standard students. If the same questionnaire was asked to some other students, will I get the same results? Correct. So if they have the same results or near about results, we can rely on this instrument. Yes, this instrument is good. If I bought a knife and I'm cutting a tomato, can I cut all tomato with this knife? Reliable. Whether I'm buying this knife to cut the tomato or a potato, validity. I wanted a knife with those, zigzag sharp edge. I don't know, sharp zigzag edge, because it is comfortable to cut tomato with that knife. So if I'm using that knife and I'm cutting another vegetables with that, it's of no use. Validity goes wrong. That is one thing. I want to check reliability whether with the same knife I can cut all those tomatoes. So that is the difference between validity and reliability. Validity is to see whether we have done our work properly. All the questions are collected the same kind of responses. Reliability, whether I will go with the another respondents, I will get the same answers or not. Common method is Conback alpha. In SPSS, there is something known as Conback alphas and Conbatch alpha. Somebody says this way. If it is more than 0.7, the results are 0.7, then we can go ahead with this instrument. But you prepare a questionnaire. You should compulsory go with confirmatory factor analysis. You should hire some statistician. It is always legal to hire some statistician. Give them your questionnaire. They will work on CFA. They will have some kind of analysis, and then they will tell you, yes, your scale is good enough. You can go ahead with your analysis. The question is, ma'am, what should be the sample size? Say in pilot study, only 50 sample size is okay. So what should be the reasonable, I will say reasonable steps, not actual or absolute steps. You prepare a questionnaire, you do 50 and collect the 50 data, 50 responses, go for pilot study, go for reliability validity check, what your Conback alpha is saying. If it is good, go ahead with your confirmatory factor analysis. For confirmatory factor analysis, you should at least have 250 to 300 responses. And if your confirmatory factor analysis goes right, now you collect a huge number of data. See, we are collecting data for some conclusion. Who will give us conclusion? Test is going to give us conclusion. This test, which test to apply? Parametric, non-parametric, which kind of relationship? Bivariate, multivariate, univariate. There are some tests, but they have certain rule that which kind of responses you should have. Measurement skill, metric or non-metric. Correct? So parametric test, non-parametric test. This is an example. I'm just showing you that these are the families that we have. Each one has its own way of doing it. So some of the tests that we have, if you have, so there is, if you're going for a univariate analysis, I told you if time permits, I will also touch some part of statistics. And if previous slide, yeah. If Sweetie ma'am wants, and if I have last 10 minutes with me, I can pick up few questions if you are facing any problem in your research as of now regarding questionnaire. So you know what happens when you take a few questions, we can relate, you know, if you rehearse to someone else's question and how I have responded, so you can relate. So if you want, I can pick up some questions at the end, and you can ask me regarding your how to frame hypothesis, or some question regarding your own study. What problems are you facing? So let me complete this part quickly. See, I'm just showing you some of the example. If you have a univariate study, differences. If your data is a metric data, you can go for mean or one sample t-test. If you have a non-metric data, non-metric metric which nominal and ordinal, you only have an option of count. If you have only one variable study, univariate, you said I want to study the marks of, or you want to study the satisfaction level of male and female. So if satisfaction level was, if your satisfaction level was in scale data or ordinal data, you can go for mean. If it was not in the nominal and ordinal data, then you can go for only count. If you have a bivariate analysis, your dependent variable is 1, independent variable is 1. If your dependent is metric data, this test can be used. If your dependent variable is non-metric data, you can use this. So this is the way you will check which test can be used. And one more, if your dependent variable is 1, but independent are many, how to use? Types of hypothesis, number of variables, nature of variables, whether it is independent or dependent, number of categories, and types of data. I know you must be thinking of getting this slide so that it helps. It's like a ready reckoner. I will share with you. See what next you should study now. So what you did in the initial first session, I think you did what is research and all. Then I did with your review of literature. Then you got to know about variables. Then you got to know about variables. Then we did hypothesis formulation, how to frame your univariate hypothesis, bivariate or multivariate. Then you come down to how to frame questionnaire. Today you get to know about questions. Then you got to know about measurement scale, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Refractive scales, I already told you that you should have a reflective scale to be known as a scale. Otherwise, it goes into ordinal data. And then you will choose a proper statistics test that you are going to use, apply that test, or you can ask a statistician to apply it, and then there will be interpretation. What next you should study is different technicalities of test and how to interpret those tests. Every research should have descriptive data, CFA, that is confirmatory analysis, and inferential analysis. Okay, so we have, I guess we have a 10 minutes with us. So any questions that you all have? I hope you all are aware how to create questionnaire on Google form. You all want me to quickly show you once? Okay, I will show you once how to create questionnaire online quickly. Some good things about creating questionnaire online. So you have your Gmail account. I think my screen is visible to you all. Let me check with my which screen do I am on. Yes. So on your Gmail, you open your options, go to Google Drive. Your Google Drive will be open. Then you go to Drive, new. You can say my new. Click on new option. Wait, it is loading. Under new option, you have to go to more, or you can also select Google Forms. Just a second. Okay, go to new. You can directly go to Google Forms, or you can have it from here. Sometimes this option of Google Form is in more. It depends on your screen. So we'll click Google Forms. In the untitled form, you have to mention your name of your title. Say STR and students performance. So it will automatically come here. Write down your description, tell something about your topic. Now you have certain things like here, some okay, I'm just checking whether okay, questionnaire part is open or not. Okay, so you annotation. So you have this. You have this part here, which you can use it to create number of sections here. So you can create sections here. Add section. You will say demographic section should be 1, another section should be 2, just a second. Annotation or something is going wrong in my clear all drawings, and I want to keep this aside. Okay, here and close this annotation. Yeah. So section 1 of 3, 2 of 3, this can be just an introduction part. Section 2 can be your demographic questions. Google is using such a high level of AI. So you can add questions here. And the first question you said, okay, tell us your age. Now you have an option here. See, if you can see, the short answer is that there are options that are given to you. How you want to ask questions. Short answer in paragraph. This is open-ended, multi-choice, checkbox, drop-down, file uploaded, linear scale, or multiple choice grid, etc. So I'll say, okay, I want to go with multiple choice. And I'm telling them it can be 21 to 30, then 31 to 40, etc. Now, I want to create another question. And you will say, okay, I want to know the gender. See, immediately they will give us this option. Male. So they gave us this option, suggestions. Add all. So they said male, female, prefer not to say. Immediately the AI will work. You want to also ask them occupation. So this is how you will add here. Now we'll come to the some satisfaction questions like STR. The first question is approachable. Now what happens is in the scale form, if you put it this way, multi-choice, or you can also say linear scale, 1 to 5, you can choose whatever you want and you can label them. What is 1 is not approachable. And then you say 5 means highly approachable. Okay. This is the one way of doing it, or you can do it in a multi-choice. Correct? See, in a multiple choice, you have to write down highly approachable, new, then you will say neutral, less approachable, and not at all approachable. And you can just delete this. Now, what if you have 4 questions under one satisfaction? We wanted to know satisfaction and it has in sub variables. I can have multi-choice grid. What you can do is multi-choice grid. Now under the row you said approachable, knowledge, friendly. Then you will say supportive. Okay, so you had this. Then you can say very true to you, to your teacher, true. Then neutral, not true, and not very true, or completely not true. Now let us come up and see how your questionnaire will look like in preview option. In the preview option, you have this. Next. Age 21 to 30, gender, occupation. Next. There are many technicalities in this. Again, you can have this option of until and unless they don't fill all the questions, that questionnaire will not be submitted. So you have that option. This was one way of doing it if you are collecting an ordinal data. But if you have a reflective data, you can directly collect this way. Approachable, whether this. So that way it becomes one. So now that becomes very easy for the respondents to answer. So you have many options here. You can choose here, make it compulsory. So it is required. You make it red. You can have a duplicate form. Then from here you can describe. So that is how different way of creating a questionnaire. That's it from my side, ma'am. Sweetie, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Uh, if you have audience, please, if you have any questions.
Yeah, 5 minutes we can spare some
Ah,
time. If you have some question regarding your research or thesis or something you are stuck with, you can always
you can
ask.
please raise your hands. I can
Yeah.
unmute you.
See, there can be two reasons why people are not raising hand. Either they are lost it because I have not able to, I've confused them, or
Or
they are completely done with it.
you can post your questions in the chat box.
Is there any specific number for choosing samples? Yes. Sample size itself is a study. You should do a lot of review of literature. See, if you are studying student teacher relationship in higher education, then there is a way, there must be some studies. I should read their papers, that which kind of study they have conducted and what was the ideal sample size. Larger the sample size, the possibility of outliers and non-normality will reduce. Correct? There are many research papers. One is Glenn Jen, who has given some ideas that if you have this number of population, this should be your sample size. So there is a calculation, there is a formula. But I feel don't directly jump and take up this. See, if you are doing a marketing study, what should be your sample size? If you're doing a behavioral study, what should be your sample size? That way.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
I
there
have
are
a question.
formulas. Ma'am, there are formulas readily available on Google, but I don't really rely on them because you should see in which area you studying and which test you want to use. Like if you are going to do exploratory factor analysis, you have no idea about that factor, which factors comes in. Then number of statements that you are asking multiply by 10 times. That should be your sample size. So that way there are a number of formulas which you can use. Ma'am, I cannot tell you in agriculture field how many samples that you need to ask your authors in your field. Matlab, they must have done some study and they have come up with some answers for that.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, please, sir.
Ma'am, I am in the field of HR doing my thesis work in work-life balance HR. And actually, pharmaceutical executives, I am trying to collect my responses. So my size I have mentioned is 500. Is it appropriate to collect 500 or more than that? It will reflect the true picture.
Sir, if you are going to collect data from pharmaceutical executives, what should be the what would be the population?
My area is twin cities in Odisha, that is Cuttack and Bhubaneswar. Population in these twin cities is 10 lakhs, but to the pharmaceutical executives, more than 20,000 are there.
Okay, 20,000 plus numbers are there, right? So then, do you think are they approachable? Next question should be, are they defined? Are they approachable? Are they accessible? And if again, sir, there is one something known as confidence level, 95%, 90%, 99% that way. Then you should follow some social science graphs which are already available on net. And then they will tell you if your population is 20,000, you said, this should be the ideal number for your sample size. If I can quickly show you the sample size. Actually, I had a paper on this by Glenn Israel. See, one of the common, I don't know, in our state, in our city, we all are used to refer this paper most often. It is one of the safest one. determining, I think my screen is visible, by Glenn Israel, and he has given a good explanation about this. Now you, with this confidence level, if you are studying your research paper, 5% you can come to the second column. You said 20, so 392 should be your ideal sample size.
Okay, ma'am.
So
Ma'am,
if you collect 400, if you target 400 or 420, you will be able to collect 380, 390. So that should be sufficient, sir.
ma'am, I have one more thing. Your presentation is excellent. I want to have all the PPTs from yesterday and today also. Can I get that?
Yeah, sir. I will share with Sweetie, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Excellent presentation, ma'am. Thank you again.
Thank you. Any other questions that, ma'am, can you suggest a website or details regarding topics to be selected for PhD purpose? I have discussed this yesterday, that there cannot be one particular website. You have to sit and browse research papers, you have to browse journals, and many more things. It's an interest that you have to develop by reading. You keep on reading for at least 2 months on one particular topic, then you will get to know, okay, which topic you can actually study. I want to know, somebody ask more questions. I'm not able to open my chat box. Ma'am, is it compulsory to take larger size of sample collection? Again, I told you it's all about population. What number of population you have? How can questions and scaling design differ in qualitative research? How can question and scaling designs differ in? I'm not getting this question clearly. Daniel, can you unmute yourself and question me, please? Elaborate this question. As compared to quantitative research, ma'am. How can question and scaling design? Okay, you mean to say, if you're, how we should know, how we will get to know that whether should we quantify this particular thing. See, there are two things about marks, or say performance. Somebody asked me, how was your performance? It's good. Good is an opinion, is a behavior. And somebody said, what was your performance? How was your performance? Last time I got 60%. This time I got 65%. So I 5% improved. Absolute numbers. So that is quantifiable. So you should know your question contains what kind of information. So if you can collect opinions or exact numbers, that way. Yes, CFA is compulsory confirmatory factor analysis. See, if you want to do confirmatory factor analysis, what will happen is you will end up adding such latent variables which are not fitting into that particular model. Then model fit will not come up. Good fit model, this kind of things will not come up. Yeah, Sweetie, ma'am. I'm done.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And I now call Daniel sir to give vote of thanks. Danny sir.
That's okay, ma'am. No need to give vote of thanks. I really enjoyed taking up this session. In fact, you know, I do not like, I'm not in for online sessions or online lectures. Even for my online teaching, I hate taking online lectures like this. I wish if I can in near future, if things goes well, I can come down there and talk to the participants and be with them, you know. When I attend my workshops, still did I attend many workshops, and I have some of my mentors with me. After session, we spend time together, because when I am there, I don't have to go home back, and I'm there sitting with the researchers together and the scholars. They have such a wonderful ideas, and we discuss that what can be done, which topic can be taken up, if this is the topic, if this is the question, and what can be done. And I get to learn so many things. So spending some time there together really is fruitful. So let us see. I am self-inviting myself to your college.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am.
So,
Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I'd like to keep this vote of thanks as informal as possible. Thank you so much for making us to understand the nuances of questionnaire designing, especially with respect to different scaling techniques and everything. It was just wonderful for me as a fellow researcher as well as a teacher of research methodology to attend your session, and I'm sure it was the same for everybody. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks to the department for organizing this program.
welcome. Welcome. Yeah. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am. Sure, you have to come to our college in
Sure.
person.
Yeah, ma'am.
Probably
Okay.
next year we will invite you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
For the
Bye.
same
Take
program.
care.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.